Coming up on Mountain News Weekend Edition, a Pikeville favorite is making its way back after 2 years lost to the pandemic.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News Weekend Edition.
Good evening, I'm Kitten Hall. One local town is prepping for its signature event and is thankful to see it back on the agenda for 2022. WYMT's Jordan Mullen spoke to officials in Pikeville about 2022's Hillbilly Days Festival and what it means for the city and its partners to see hillbillies back on the city streets.
Pikeville's Hillbilly Days Festival is a long-running tradition and the second largest festival in the Commonwealth. But for the last 2 years, Eastern Kentucky has been without the historic event.
1977 was the first year. It's gone on continuously through 2019, and then in 2020 and 2021, unfortunately, we had to cancel that because of the pandemic.
And as a way to raise money to help the Shriners Hospital for Children for 43 consecutive years, the festival grew to unprecedented numbers, raising nearly $60,000 in 2016 alone.
It started as a collaboration between the Shriners, then the city and the county, of course, and it was hosted in Pikeville, and it's just grown from that point till now.
The cancellation of 2020 and 2021's festivities has put strain on the city and, most notably, the Shriners.
Hillbilly Days is a tremendous fundraiser for them. It's, they split the funds with the chamber based on the registration fees of vendors. So not having had that festival has created quite a difference for them in their fundraising abilities every year.
But the city recently announced that 2022's Hillbilly Days Festival is currently in the works and is scheduled to make a comeback in late April.
This year we are, barring any unforeseen circumstances, the rise of another variant or something of that nature, we certainly intend to host the festival.
Wonderful news for the Shriners, as well as the hillbillies that call the festival home. In Pikeville, Jordan Mullins, WYMT Mountain News.
Ellswick says the festival is scheduled for April 21st through the 23rd, and vendors have already been reaching out trying to secure their spot. When the temperature increases, so do the number of puppies and kittens that are dropped off or surrendered to animal shelters across the region. This time of year marks the beginning of what shelters call puppy and kitten season, which is a period of time where they experience higher volumes of puppy and kitten drop-offs that often lead to overcrowding. Those at the Kentucky River Regional Animal Shelter say they're dealing with this right now. In order to prevent this season in the future, they advise pet owners to spay and neuter their animals.
I think people should just spay and neuter. If you could spay and neuter your pet and prevent the possibility of having to have an emergency surgery or even death, then why wouldn't you? It's just really important.
Owsley adds that if you have a pregnant cat or dog, it's important to ensure that it's kept in a safe and comfortable space before and after it gives birth to avoid the mom from running off or getting hurt. Community Christian Church in Lee County held a food giveaway today. Starting at 11 a.m., the church did not have to wait long, as more than 50 families came through in just 15 minutes. Unfortunately, the church ran out of food in that time, as they only had 50 or so boxes to give. Food Pantry Director Darlene Jewell says this shows the need for giveaways in the area.
Especially with senior citizens and families with multiple children. So the need is there just to get them through the month, because if you're on a limited income, it makes it really hard, especially with groceries getting higher as they are.
Jewell says they are always accepting food donations. The famous Aunt Jemima image was on pancake boxes and syrup bottles across America for decades. The woman who brought the Aunt Jemima brand to life was Montgomery County native Nancy Green. Green was born enslaved to the Walker family in Montgomery County. In her late 50s, she got the job of flipping flapjacks at the Chicago World's Fair, where she reportedly sold 50,000 boxes. To keep her memory alive, Montgomery County natives Clayton Minich and Tanya Jones are spearheading the Nancy Green Project. The project will produce a culinary scholarship for minority students living in Montgomery County and a road marker honoring Green.
Knowing that there's going to be a marker and, people walking by that, reading that every day, that instills a sense of pride.
In honor of Green, there will be a pancake breakfast on March 5th at the Du Bois Community Center in Mount Sterling. Green's relatives are expected to attend. The family of a 16-year-old girl killed in a car crash last November near Louisville plans to meet with legislators to toughen DUI laws. Lily Fairfield was on her way to school when Teresa Devine crashed into her. Devine had just been arrested for DUI but never had to see a judge. Lily's family believes Kentucky's administrative release laws failed to protect her. Just this morning, the family and their attorney made a plea to Oldham County officials to help change the laws. Now, they are now taking their fight to state lawmakers as well in a change they hope to call Lily's Law.
So I hope that it could save anybody from dying that really doesn't need to die, especially like a 6-year-old girl like my sister.
Devine has not been charged in the crash that killed Lily. Police say they're still waiting for her blood results to come back. Lily's family are meeting with senators and state representatives to fight for a 72-hour hold for the first DUI offense and increased financial penalties for a second offense. Calls for change after the man accused of trying to kill Louisville mayor candidate Craig Greenberg was sprung from jail 2 days later. Kentucky State Representative Jason Nemes says the wheels were already well in motion for a constitutional amendment allowing dangerous suspects to be held without bond, long before the attempt on the life of mayoral candidate Craig Greenberg. But when the accused Quintez Brown made bail 2 days later, the issue took over the spotlight.
I mean, everybody's astonished. Republicans and Democrats have Republicans and Democrat constituents and mayors of different cities in Louisville contacting me. Everyone's just stunned that this could happen.
After Brown was bailed out by the Louisville Community Bail Fund, demands for changes to who can be bailed out and how amplified. Nemes's proposed constitutional amendment would put the issue of bail reform directly in the hands of voters, deciding if judges should have the discretion to hold dangerous suspects without bond. Democratic House Minority Leader Joni Jenkins agrees it's time to talk. Still to come at 11, outbreaks of violence in eastern Ukraine. Biden says it's cause for immediate concern.